I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, August the 17th, the best day other than Christmas and the 4th of July of the year. And this time I'm turning 49 for the first time. Brought to you in part by Livestock Risk Services. Help with the Livestock Risk Protection Program, they can definitely do that. Now they've got offices right there in the Exchange Building at the Oklahoma City Stockyards in Oklahoma City. They can help you lock in a feeder cattle price and have it settle on your cash index, which is a better indication of what's going on than what your futures are. The LRP has classifications for all types of cattle operations. Let them help you pick the right one. Send an email to dmoss@livestockriskservices.com. Packer margins, poor guys, they inflated them so much, as much as maybe $2,500 during the absolute worst of the pandemic, and then they started falling back as soon as we started getting back in there and processing again, and things started to get back to some semblance of normal. But they've kind of fallen on hard times here over the last few months. That we were in a seasonal lull on your box beef cutout values after your early summer holidays, and so it kind of dropped off a little bit. We started getting a little bit short of cattle, so they started having to give a little bit of something for cattle. And they were getting down there where they were only making about $750 a head. But good news, they've been able to crank that back up. These box beef cutout values have soared over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, just huge gains every single day, and they haven't been having to give any more for cattle for the most part. So packers are back now making over $1,000 a head, upwards of 1,100 head on a lot of them. So great for them. They can post all-time record gains, in their quarters, and while you guys go broke out there. But if we don't do something, it's just going to overtake everything. We've been noticing that they've seen similar type of margins in your pork industry. Now they've fallen off here just this week already, but nobody's worried about that because there's no independent hog producers. Nobody feeds hogs anymore. If you do, you're under contract, so you don't really care what's going on. That's the way they want to get the cattle deal. Don't think they don't want to get it that way. We used to have feeder pig auctions too. It used to be a big deal, especially in southern Missouri. A lot of places like that. Feeder pig auctions were a big deal. People took pride about bringing their pigs in and sorting them up and selling them, kind of like you guys do your calves and yearlings. When's the last time you went to a feeder pig auction? They got one, I think, left in New Holland, Pennsylvania. That's the last place I've ever heard of that's got one. There might be another one or two around, but there's nothing like what they used to be. Used to have graded feeder pig sales. You just watch. Can you imagine not having an auction other than to sell maybe your out cows or something like that? No calf strings coming in. Nobody selling trailer loads of calves. That's what we could be facing, guys. But we've got to get something done. We've got to get a minimum negotiated cash trade. If you're up in Sheridan, Wyoming at the Big Superior sale tonight here, Tuesday night or this evening from 6 to 8, you got Jess Peterson, Justin Tupper with the United States Cattlemen's Association has been fighting the hardest for that and making some big headway. They will explain it all to you and tell you what our chances are and what we need to do to achieve that. But that's some of the things we're working on. But as far as your packer margins, man, they've got them back up there. But your packers are going to face a little bit of a challenge here. They've got to keep these kills up. The last week or two, they haven't been harvesting enough to handle the demand that they have. Of course, our demand is outstanding too. Word is our export demand to Afghanistan's fallen off a little bit here in the last few days, so I'm not sure if it was very good before, but it's sure not going to be very good going forward. But they've got to get their kill stepped up a little bit. Of course, they hate to step up their kill any at all because they might have to go out into the negotiated market and buy a few cattle, and they really don't want to have to do that. They hate to tip their hand that they need some cattle and go out there and bid on cattle, but yet they can go try to get some cattle early in the week, and then the sheep that sell them just puke them right up to them, and then the guys late in the week give them at the same price or even lower when they're still gunning for them. But we had a miserable volume last week. 63,000 is all in your 5-area feeding region. That is absolutely ridiculous. They don't sell any more cattle negotiated cash. And on one of these new weekly reports on your net price report there, I showed you guys last week, I'm going to show you again tomorrow hopefully, that your best price on the biggest volume is in negotiated cash still. You know, you can talk about the AMA's alternative marketing agreements and your grid deals and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, they've got some big premiums out there, but there's not enough cattle trading at those higher premiums to amount to shit. Your biggest volumes at your best prices are still negotiated. You guys got to get out there and work for them now. They're not going to give you a pickup. Now, I know that it's hard to get a new pickup right now, and a lot of guys I've talked to are tickled to go in and only have to pay sticker for them. But when they get these computer chips back in and they start filling these lots back up, you're going to have an opportunity to negotiate for a new pickup worth the money. Now, you're going to go in there and pay sticker price for them, or you're going to go in there and whittle down on them and you know, get mad and walk out of the office a time or two. You know, don't answer their phone call and things like that. Do some things to try to negotiate something. You got to do it on this deal too now. But these packers are getting cute again. The kind of money that they're making, the big disparity between what your box beef cutout values are and what they're paying for cattle. You know, here early this week, your box beef cutout values at $3.30 dressed for your box beef cutout values. And your cattle, the weighted average for last week was just over $2 per pound. So that's $1.30 a pound on that dressed meat, all dressed, to cut that stuff up, and that's just absolutely ridiculous. You know, our drop value is now $15 a hundred almost. It was $6 or $7 forever. I mean, they're just raking it in from every single corner. Let's talk about your board for Monday. August live cattle futures up 77 cents at 123.52. October up a smooth buck at 129.12. That's a positive thing for live cattle to be up. Start the week out. You go on your back months, they were up and down, from down 90 cents to up 65. August feeder cattle down 85 cents at 157.20. September down $1.07 at 162 even. And mostly down on your back months, from down 82 cents to up just 17. And it wasn't corn's fault because corn was easier on Monday to start the week, down 4 1/4 on your new crop December, 568 3/4. Weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region. Now listed to the differences here in volume. This past week, 63,100. A previous week, 81,000. Same week a year ago, 109,200. But live sales of steers and heifers last week ranged negotiated in your 5-area from 119 to 128. That's a big spread there. It was mostly steady, unevenly steady in the northern plains. Your weighted average on live steers was 123.28. That was actually down 55 cents from the previous week because we didn't have any volume, those big prices. So we didn't gain any ground. We actually lost ground live. We did gain ground dressed. Dressed steers and heifers ranged in price from 195 to 205. Your weighted average on dressed steers, $200.63, and that was actually up $2.43 from the previous week's weighted average. So you know, that helps a little. Nationwide, they only sold 76,000 head negotiated sales. We need that in several of our 5-area feeding regions, guys. We got to get more negotiated trade. We need some price transparency here. We got to find the market instead of taking it. That 76,000 head negotiated nationwide, 22% of those were for 2 to 4 week delivery. So that doesn't help as we're going forward on trying to get an up market whenever you got cattle sold out front. Everybody just keeps doing that. And in comparison to the 76,000 negotiated trade in your nationwide sales, there were 263,200 head of formula sales. And I showed you last week, and I've told you ever since then, that on the formula you don't get as good a price in volumes as you do negotiated. But everybody thinks that's the answer. Monday we sold some cattle, about 200 head in Iowa, confirmed at 197. That's not great, but it was within the range of last week. Nebraska, we had that big family feeder out there that sold over 3,000 head in Nebraska on Monday at 128.75. That's 75 cents higher than the extreme top of last week. You gotta charge more for cattle, and it's mostly heifers, guys. Now they feed really good cattle. They will be right. But 128.75 is the market so far. Don't screw it up. Box beef cutout values. Choice cuts on Monday afternoon, 329.80, up 497. Selects 303.55. We got selects over $3 a pound now. 303.55, up 553. What else is going on? Now we got those big videos going on. I mentioned that Superior sale in Sheridan, Wyoming, and Northern Wyoming. Southern Wyoming's got the Western Video Market sale going on in Cheyenne at Little America. Now they sold yearlings on Monday, and whoa, did they sell them. Now they had a lot of them from, right there in the Nebraska area, Wyoming area there, and man, they blew the roof off the place, especially on your program cattle. But I talked to Holly Foster there, and she kind of heads that thing up. She's a good friend of mine, does an excellent job there managing the operations there at Western Video Market. And she said, we had some new buyers call in to buy online, which was great. But you guys got to get registered. They're not going to let you just, log in, 5 minutes before the sale and buy a big long string of cattle when they don't know who you are. You got to go on to wvmcattle.com and register right there, because they're gonna check your bank right there. If you go on to dvauction.com, yeah, you can register for a bull sale or something. They just run your credit card just to make sure you are who you are and everything's right. But you got to get on to wvmcattle.com to register to bid online for your Western Video Market. But we apologize if some of you guys wanted to get in on some of those cattle and you weren't approved and registered there, but they had plenty that were, and they did have a lot of action online, had a lot of action on the phones, and they had a lot of action in the seats there. But I had one stick out deal for a new consignor there, kind of a young producer in Tryon, Nebraska. His name's Peyton Barner. Has some really nice cattle, as you can see right here. He sold 122 head of 850-pound steers at delivery out of Tryon, Nebraska. These are ranch raised black baldy steers, mostly solid black. They got the vaccination program. They got the NHTC, no implants. They got verified natural third party, and they got the GAP 4. But those two loads of 850-pound steers bring $170 Western Video Market. Let's talk about your brick and mortar sales on Monday. Real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Monday at 154.38. That was down 60 cents, so it's coming off a little bit. And as I tell you, we've gone through most of your bigger, nicer strings. We're getting some plainer cattle. We're getting some big calves in there. It's pulling it down a little bit, but demand's still really good if you do have a yearling. Look at Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyard, 6,500 head there. Feeder steers run evenly steady. Feeder heifers steady to $3 lower. Steer calves $4 to $6 lower, and heifer calves unevenly steady there. But I do trust the market reporters there. They got seasoned market reporters in Oklahoma City, and I don't question their market trend. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards, 4,800 head there, and the market was about steady. We didn't have a lot of big sales this Monday other than your two big videos there. But talk about some stick-out sales that I did see. And out of Sioux Falls Regional Livestock. Now these are your Zactran top quotes for the day. I'll let you guys decide which one is the best. You might say 258 head of 1,059-pound big warmed up feeder steers bringing 141.25 would be the Zactran top quote for the day out of Sioux Falls Regional Livestock. Or you might say 74 head 837-pound steers bring $165 even, you might think that's your top quote for the day. They're about $1 a pound on the gain apart, so depending on what it costs for you to put it on. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.